Good evening. I'm a lifelong resident of the community of Ironton, a small community south of Belle Chasse, a historical community. This community was established over 200 years ago in the early 1800s. To give you a little background of this community, in earlier years, many of you may be already aware, this community was without running water and basic infrastructure. I, along with many others, was an integral part and played an active role in forcing the local government to bring and to force their hand to address the issues and bring running water to this community. So I say all of that to say this. Residents of Ironton are fighters. We have always had to fight for our basic needs. And now we are in the fight of our lives, stopping the intrusion of coal terminals in our neighborhoods. We understand the growth of industry is good for the economy, and we are not against big business, as we realize it's bring jobs and all that. We understand that. But we also realize we don't want it at the expense of one's quality of life. And I believe that we allow the influx of our open coal containers and carts in our community, so goes our quality of life that we have grown accustomed to. To address the proposed resurrection of rail lines in our community will also be devastating. Not only will these rail lines bring the hazardous coal dust closer to our front door, it will be a great danger for residential traffic. I also believe that the rail company who met with a group of us from Ironton is keeping their plans under the radar, away from the general public to prevent retaliation. Many people in the Belle Chasse, Algiers, Retna area is unaware of the reconstruction of the rail and the plans that the local government have in place for the rail. The three proposed plans as it relates to the community of Ironton: A is to run the rail in the marsh, which is the west side of the community of Ironton. B, to run it along the lake. That's Mr. Nungesser favor, which will disrupt a lot of homes in that community. And thirdly, to reconstruct it at the original site, which runs directly through the community of Ironton. At that meeting, when the gentleman from the rail began to speak, the first words out of his mouth were, he had already met with Parish President Nungesser, and Mr. Nungesser had given his approval. And he also mentioned that he had met with the Peabody's, which many of you are aware that the Peabody's is one of the largest property owners in this parish. But they ran into a little problem with Peabody's because he had inflated his prices on the property. So he was going to go back and negotiate. Well, at that point, it was obvious that everyone was at the table except the people that would be adversely affected. And I don't need to tell you this, that all of this didn't sit well with our community. So in closing, I would like to say, this parish, all residents of this parish, need to unite to stop the coal terminals from coming into our parish and even the expansion of the rail line. Because what affects Ironton, Myrtle Road, and Wood Park will directly affect you. Thank you.